All right, everybody. We are here at Volkstock, and while we're stomping around Volkstock, right, we're looking for people we know and people that did big things. And who would I run into but my buddy Jarrett Lemley? Jarrett,
That's
what's up,
me.
buddy?
Hey, how are you?
So my buddy Jarrett here. Hold on, I think I got his mic. Let me get you some mic.
Hey. How you doing?
All right, there we go. So we got Jarrett on the mic now. Now you guys might know Jarrett because he's got a few cars features. He first had his red and white. What year's your double cab?
It's a 66.
So it had a 66 double cab feature.
And I think that was like 2010.
2010. You guys will remember it because it was on cookie cutters, and it had a Porsche fan shroud with a big turbo nasty motor in the back end.
It was pretty radical.
Right? And then his next time that he was featured in Hot VWs, he had his, what year was your Notchback?
What year was my Notchback? 64.
It's got to be the year after because you didn't debut the same year I did, Mejia, did you?
No.
You were the next year.
So, yeah, next year.
It would have been 2010.
Yeah. My man.
2010, you'd have debuted that. So you'll remember the Notchback. There was a couple Notchbacks around at the time that had a little pimple in the deck lid, and one was built by KCW, and I can't remember the color of it.
Yeah, nobody remembers the color of it.
It was like, I mean, that one might have been gray, maybe like a balance of gray.
Right.
Yours, what color was your Notchback?
My Notchback was 1986 or 7, Gruen olive, metallic Gruen olive. So, metallic green, olive green, stock vintage Porsche.
And that
color.
and that motor, the reason it had a pimple in the deck, this is how you guys remember this car, because that car was featured in Hot VWs too, correct?
I believe Hot VWs did a spread on it, and then a couple of the European magazines with Steven Sensei.
Yeah, and that car you remember because it had a 3.2 liter Carrera motor.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, so I want to get into the stories of those cars, the double cab build. I want to also get into the story of the Notchback build, but first we got to get back to the beginning, and we always start the podcast with, what's your VW story? How did you get into Volkswagens?
So, my VW story, I probably have more than a few actual VW stories. I think the VW story that I'm gonna share today, maybe just the first one, who knows. I had a 67 Bug. I had a neighbor that seemed like he was raked out on drugs, like, hindsight kind of thing.
Right.
But he was a painter. He was worked at a local paint shop. He had a lot of energy, this and that. I'd walk by his place on the way to high school, and so, I stopped, I talked, he had some unique words and whatever, and he was a magnetic kind of individual. So he's, hey, I can, I'll help you paint your car, you do this, you do that, and I'll paint it for you. And I was like, oh, great. He's like, I got this, Gulfstream Aqua Metallic. You just close your eyes and imagine that color.
Right.
So, yeah, I did all this work. He painted this 67 Bug for me, and it was just an amazing car. So I'm driving down the road, my girlfriend, mother of my children, my twins, and we hit a bump. Ball joints were pressed in 90 degrees sideways. Hit a bump, ball joint breaks, front wheel spread apart, oncoming traffic.
No way.
Toyota 4Runner.
Head on?
Yes.
Get out of here.
150 stitches in my 4-banger here, and can't even see it. Can't even see it. I don't know, whatever they did back in the day, but
wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy ordeal. Didn't break me.
Yeah.
It had no effect on Volkswagens aren't safe or anything like that. It was just something that happened, and it was a pretty big ordeal. And I'll say that's a Volkswagen story. How I got into Volkswagens, my dad, his best friend, a man named Jerry Olson, they were, grew up together 18, and I think they're 76, 80 years old now, something like that.
Yeah.
So Jerry had 223 windows in his backyard. I taught myself to drive as a small child in those 23 windows, dry shifting and making the noises in the backyard. Those were my rights. Those were my inheritances. And big name Dick Christensen, those guys came through and they saw those buses driving down the road and they got my buses, but that's a different story for a different day.
Right.
So I was kind of born and bred into the deal. My first car was a 71 Squareback, then was that 67 Bug I spoke about. But it's always been in the family, always been in the blood coming out. I'm pretty sure I'll always own a Volkswagen of some sort, just like you.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, as we're young, we like my first car was painted the parking lot of like the stereo shop I worked at with like a mobile paint guy who did like a legit job, and I was stoked with it. And it was just nice to have paint on a car.
I actually think I competed against that car at the Classic a couple of years ago, and I lost to it with my Notchback. I didn't have enough money in my paint job, I think.
Well, no, it's funny because we're going to talk about that story as well, because I know what you're getting at, and you're getting to the debut when you debut your car.
I was really upset that day.
See, you can't be. Well, we're going to touch on that in a minute, but we start out in these busted up. Before they were hood rides, right? Like just busted up Volkswagen, just happened to be slammed and driving the
Thought
road.
we were 10 feet tall.
Yeah, and then we get to where we end up finally getting, we take this thing where we focus on work, career, job, whatever, and then we start making the money. And the hardest part is like when not like we're wealthy, but we have enough means to build a car on the side. And we're not talking mega cars. Some of the mega cars we may have built started by accident, and it got so deep you're like, I can't explain the money out of it, so now I've got to dump more money into it.
Right.
But I think when we get to the point where we have the means to build a car that we like, and then we build a car we like, and then we fight with that internal struggle that we're used to doing everything ourselves. And you look at something, you go, well, all right, I don't have time. Can you put these ball joints in or do this or that? And they're like, yeah, $300. And you're like,
exactly. You're busy making money and things are going, and you're doing your Monday through Saturday, and you're giving your Sunday to your family and blah, blah, blah. And you've got more means to make ends than you have time to save ends.
But the struggle is because we know how to do the work, and we have this, and I don't know where it comes from, but we have like this street cred thing that we feel like we have to put some sweat equity into it.
That street cred builds expectation, and I think that can be a serious problem. It can make us into the arrogant guys that some people portray us as, or it can really, if you're skilled at using it to your advantage, you can really get people on board with your project, and you can make it what you want by using that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's part of it. But my point that I was getting at more was like, when we can do it, but you have the means to pay for it, it's a struggle for us to want we want to get it done, but we don't want to pay for something we know how to do. But at some point, you have to put your pride to the side. So you know what? Buddy's going to do a way better job at detailing this than I will, because I'm going to get it 3/4 of the way, and then I'm bailing out. I'm moving on to something else because I want to drive the car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so then you get to the point where the first car you built that was featured, is that the double cab?
That is the double cab.
So what's the story on the double cab? And this was now we want to clear the air on some of this stuff, because when you did the walkthrough on this, how many walkthrough double cabs were done then?
I've never seen another.
And what year was the double cab in the magazine?
The double cab in the magazine is a 66. The walkthrough was out of a 66.
But I mean, what year was it in Hot Wheels?
Ooh, I think that was 2010 or something like that.
Because it was before the Notch.
Oh yeah.
2 years
So I was
before.
thinking
so
that
it might be 2008.
Possibly.
Because your Notch debuted the year after my Gia did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you said 2010 on that, and I was thinking that I'm old now. I just had a birthday 2 days ago. I mean, what do you want from me?
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy. This is your present. From me to you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's right. You get to
another
be famous
gift.
on
Thank
Let's
you.
Talk Dogs.
Yes.
Listen, a lot of people, look, if you ever hear about a dude in Arizona that, like, this guy's always in the mix and he's always ripping on fools and just a huge ball buster, that's your boy Jarrett. Like,
That's me.
If you're hanging in a group and some guy walks in and just says something super obnoxious and just parts somebody's hair with it in 2 seconds,
How do you find these great ways to explain me?
That's Jarrett. But it was funny because I explained you to my son, and I said, Jarrett is like when I get around my buddy Scott. I'm a relentless ball breaker with my buddy Scott, but it's out of love. Like it's like he's my buddy. He's so dumb, I still love him. But I'm going to have to slap him around verbally.
I know that he really, truly loves you, Scott. I mean, he really does. He'll do anything for you.
But it's just one of these things where we just have this dynamic where it's like and it's funny because from the outside looking in, people look at you and go, oh, that guy's such a jerk.
He's
Man,
arrogant.
that guy, yeah, he's
a
arrogant.
blah, blah, blah.
But it's
I have
what-
friends that I'm here with today that thought that. you
Yeah.
know, and they're like, "Oh my God,
You're so
I can't
nice."
believe it! I threw this out here on Facebook, and guess who messaged me? Jarrett did, and he totally saved me. You know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I am. You know, I'm like, I guess I'm kind of that ball buster guy to
Right,
everybody.
right.
But I mean, I'm a nice guy too. I'm not going to drive past a dub on the freeway and
Yeah.
not pull over to see if I can help. I mean,
Yeah.
we already think we know everything, right?
Right.
So what couldn't we solve, you know, problem wise?
No, no.
Whatever.
And so the funny part is, like when I think I can't remember when I first met you. When I first met you, I know ball busting ensued quickly, and I
Oh,
said,
it was
and I
very
thought
quick,
like,
very
I like
natural.
this guy. I like this guy.
Well, I'll tell you where we met.
Yeah.
We met in the host parking lot, the
Uh-huh.
Crown Plaza, at for the in Irvine, for the Classic.
Yeah.
It was that weekend where it was a Classic and
What car did I have? Was it the Bull? Did I have
well,
the
you had
Bull
just
Run bus?
gotten done. You had just finished the Bull Run deal, and so the Bull Run was there.
It was now
and
freshly off of TV.
It was freshly
and
off
we
of
were like,
TV.
oh yeah, there's that
You
guy
brought
from TV.
that, yeah, that was it. I don't watch TV, so I didn't know who you were. But I met you that weekend, that
Right.
deal. We hung out quite a bit.
Yeah.
On the way that the parking lot was divided, it was like the Vegas guys were over there and everybody else was somewhere else.
Right.
But it was just because the Vegas guys all knew each other,
And-
not because there was anything. I met Noah
Yeah.
that weekend.
Yeah.
He's a great individual. I love that man dearly.
And we've always had the spot next to the basketball courts,
on
Crown
the east
Plaza,
side, yeah.
and that was always the Vegas spot. Now there
Yep.
was little groups of people everywhere, but that was the spot every year that Vegas guys started going.
Right.
And then it became like the Vegas thing. And Arizona, I always say this in the podcast, and I said this to Buddy the other day. I said, us desert rat guys always were like trying. I don't want to say we're trying to compete, but like we look
In a way, though, we were always trying to outdo one another with camaraderie involved.
right.
And that's the way it was. Oh, Bill got a Type 4 engine. He says he'll, he says he'll run you, and it'd be like, Bill couldn't take me if he brought friends in a tow strap.
No, and then you
it
had
was-
to go get a 3.2 liter.
Right.
car.
Well,
That's
you
cool,
know how
though.
it works.
That's cool.
Hey.
That's cool. Don't one up me.
Don't hate. Have we talked about my new engine for the double cab
We're
yet?
gonna talk about that in a
Okay,
minute.
all right, just checking.
So, real quick, we were talking about the double cab, and the
Yeah.
double cab was one of the first cars featured that had. It was one of the first buses featured that had a walkthrough section. in it. So, give me the rundown on how you ended up doing all this and where the double cab comes from.
So the backstory on the double cab is my son and my lifelong buddy Alan say that.
I seen Alan.
Yeah,
He's here.
yeah, he
leaving.
was here. They said I bought that in Prescott, Arizona, not Prescott, Prescott. So I don't remember where I got it. Whatever. I think it was $1,500. Everybody agrees on that. So we brought the thing home. I had it. I don't know. I was in my early mid-20s. Then that gentleman I spoke of earlier, Jerry Olson, he said, I want to buy your double cab from you. So I said, all right, cool. So I want to give you $4,000 for it. And I mean, back when
You're
a
like,
double cab was $1,500.
Where am I going to count these stacks?
Thank you. I was like, do we need a trailer for all this cheese? So he gives me $4,000. I'm walking with a limp.
Right.
Right.
I might need to get bigger pants.
Exactly. So, and then, pretty soon life happens and 15, 20 years goes by. Then I'm like, like we talked about a little while ago, basically the money tree had leaves on it.
Right.
And I'm like, I miss my double cab. I want to get another one. I was working a deal out of some weirdo in Florida. No offense, Florida. And it didn't work out. So my wife says, hey, have you thought about asking Jerry about your double cab back? And I was like, actually, I didn't. I go to Jerry's house. He was in California. And I left him a note on his door. He's not a cell phone kind of guy.
Right.
So
Off the grid.
Right, yeah, very. Normal guy.
Right.
And so he comes back from California. He gives me a call. He says, while I was in California, while you were at my house, I'm walking on the beach with Harriet, his wife. And he says, and I'm saying, hey, Harriet, do you think maybe Jarrett might want the double cab back? Boom. Done deal. Sold.
Did he ever do anything to it?
Caught it on fire. Right?
That's it?
Yeah.
So
It's on
it
four
was
flat
a
tires.
runner when you sold it.
It had that signature Gene Bird shifter in it that I sold to him, and it still had it in
Yeah, the
there. I'm
96.
surprised somebody didn't lift that thing. So I said, great, I got this pile of cash, like, what do you want for it? And he's like, no. The gods have spoken, it's yours.
Get out of here.
Free, baby.
Wow.
That's the deal. I mean, he said, the deal was, if I go to the big Volkswagen in the sky, you take care of my wife on what I bought it from you for if you sell it. And I was like, well, I'm never going to sell the thing. So he says, that's cool, but as long as you're good, I'm good. And I'm like, I rebuilt his 71 Super Beetle for him just as a gesture.
Sure.
The full deal. Somebody had carved the dashboard and carved the doors, and I put it all back. He bought that 71 new at the dealership, so it was kind of near and dear to him. I'm the only person that's ever had the engine out of the thing.
Really?
So yeah, it's kind of a cool story, So anyway, there's my free double cab, and
when you decide, like, at the time that you're building this car to try to, like, I want to do something different. I'm doing something different, and the formula you put together on it, to remind you guys, it's got black cookie cutters on it. It's two-tone paint. It's got deluxe trim on there, blade bumpers, the turbo motor. It had the spare tire vertically in the wheel well in the back. So you did a lot of things to kind of make that thing stand out quite a bit in the bus game.
Right.
And it's funny because we're both ball busters and we're both, like, unorthodox dudes. Like, we do stuff, like, I don't care if you like what I'm doing with my car or not. It's my vision and my build.
Right. And
you're going to do what you want, because as different as your car is, that's how different my double cab is, the carbon cab, which is here.
And I'm not going to lie to you, when my double cab was going, and then the word on the street is Bill's building a double cab. He's going to take you down. I was like, what do you mean he's going to take me? Oh, dude, he's calling it the carbon cab, and it's this and it's that. It's got a big engine, and he's got a standing challenge for you for the burnout contest. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I got to call Bill and see what's cooking over here. So yeah, it was we're friends. Yeah. We've always been friends since the day we met. We bust on each other. We break each other's balls. We do all that stuff. But in the end, I truly felt like, oh, Bill should have checked with me, or I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, and I was just like, well, and then when I saw it, I thought, oh, I could smoke this thing. I'm just kidding. No, but and then we're friends forever, and I would just, like, if I was really upset about it, I could have called you or something. But I was just thinking, like, oh, Bill's stepping on my thunder or something. You know how we do.
But I think your car you debuted at the Classic Weekend a couple years or a year or two before I did the carbon cab.
Correct. Yeah.
Because when the carbon cab rolled out, I don't think there was any double cabs.
There wasn't. You were the hot ticket at the moment.
I was the hot mess.
Right. Yeah.
But the fun part is, like, I think part of the fun is, like, if you're building something, and a lot of times, like, when I got my double cab, I was like, the bull run had just finished, and I remember when I found my double cab, we were going to the Fontana, the Bug-In at Fontana.
Right.
And I think it was the first one, Bug-In 34. If I'm not mistaken. I'm coming into the thing, and I see this double cab sitting on a trailer, and I thought, bro,
it wasn't your stolen trailer.
No, it wasn't. And I was like, and I said, I want a double cab. And I looked at this thing, and I started talking to this guy, and he wanted like 12 grand for it. And then the next time I saw him was in the Classic 2-3 months later, and now the guy wanted 16 grand for it. So in like 3 months, it went up 4 grand.
Right.
And then I ended up working out a deal to get it. But my whole vision was, like, it was funny because when I started thinking about the crew cab, the first thing that came to my mind was I saw I ended up seeing the Strosek. Yeah.
I'm always getting interrupted by this guy. He's always in my life. Seriously? What were you saying, Bill?
We just had Chris Buff come in here, and he's just rolled up in here.
I think this is on video. I think I can actually file charges.
Massaging Jarrett, tenderized him for a piece of Kobe beef.
Oh my God.
Get out of here.
So somebody looks up at that?
They're not looking up at it, trust me.
So, but when I started to build the carbon cab, what got me fired up on that project was, like, I instantly saw a Cayenne that, if you guys Google search Tech Art, which is a Porsche company, and you look up Tech Art Cayenne, and and there's a meteor gray car sitting there up against a brick wall, and that car was like the car that I patterned.
Isn't that
the
weird
carbon
how
cap off.
one vehicle
That's it.
can motivate you to spend
I
your
saw that,
entire wallet?
And I was like, that's the vision for the
Sold.
carbon cap.
Yeah.
And then it was just going to be meteor gray like that. And then what ends up happening is I'm watching Hot Rod TV, and they're building Dana White's CUDA, right?
Right.
And they're like, we're going to do a little carbon fiber trick on this, and I think we're going to do
Gonna
something.
throw down on the cheesecloth
And
and
then
some
he throws
overspray,
the
right?
thing, sprays it, and I'm like,
Sold.
boom, dude, it's done. I'm like, the carbon cap's going to be like this. I'm calling it the carbon cap. And then we end up, I sent it to Buddy, and then, but the evolution of how that car came about was like, I had all these parts that I was going to use for the Type 34 Ghia.
Right.
And that car, like, once I got in so deep with the first bad paint job that cost me $17,000.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. Once I got in that deep, my attitude was like, well, I have to justify spending this kind of money, so now this needs to be a mega car.
Right.
So I stepped it up. I got rid of that motor, did the Raby 2600. I took the motor that I had for the Type 34 Ghia, that went on a shelf in my garage, all this stuff. So all the carbon cab was built with, I had the brakes, the big Porsche brakes, I had all that stuff for the Type 34 that never went on. So I was like, well, I'm going to build the carbon cab like this. But, the whole thing with that
Yeah,
was
you dang
like,
near had an entire car full of
yeah,
stuff.
so you end up with all these extra parts.
So I'm guessing that the carbon cab didn't hardly cost you any money then.
Believe it or not, the carbon cab, I'm in the carbon cab total. I paid $8,000.
Remember that your wife is probably
No.
listening.
I paid $8,000 for the car, plus I gave the guy a driving VW thing, which is worth about $5,000. So I'm in the thing like $13K. And I think when I calced everything up, I was at like $26,000 building it.
That's not bad.
No, because the paint job, when I took it to Buddy, I was like, no, bro, I'm not doing another Ghia paint job. I just want a driver. So
I would like to say that Buddy is way too easily accessible. Like you could just call him on a cell phone.
Yes.
He'll answer on Sunday, and like I don't know if his true skill is body and paint,
Right.
or if it's smelling that there's a possibility that you might have money in your wallet.
Well, what's funny is when I was talking to Buddy on the phone, because we're friends, and I'm talking to him, I said, yeah, I'm gonna build this carbon cab.
Oh, you just excite you? Oh yeah, bro, bring it over. We'll take care of it for you.
I just told him, I said, I'm just gonna take it to this dude at Mako in town and have him spray it. He's like,
why would you do such a thing?
he's like, why would you do that? And I said, bro, because I'm not trying to build another big dollar car, dude.
Right.
I
need a break.
It's not fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fun to have a car that you've got 90 grand in,
right?
And then like, ooh, something spilled on it or whatever. Your kid stomped on the seat.
Yeah.
Because my attitude is like, I don't care. It's a car. But there's
you're at
like,
a car show and someone's throwing a frisbee.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I didn't want to get that way with the carbon cab, but
right.
That car was built on the cheap. I was ahead of the curve as far as value goes and like things to look out for, especially with crew cabs, because they obviously all buses have shot through the roof and have gone crazy.
Right.
But I tell you, so the moral to this whole story is that I like how you had your style and you don't care what anybody says. That's what I like. That's what I loved about, because you surely didn't get a bunch of acceptance when you debuted it at Octo.
No, absolutely not. Well, actually, when I debuted it at Octo,
yeah,
it was an extreme hate fest, honestly.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Like they said, everybody park facing the stadium, and if you look back, my double cab is faced the other way. I faced it towards the street. I absolutely did. I was so. I take medicine for that now. I'd like to give a shout out to Celexa. But seriously, I would have fought anybody that day.
And the problem is like what I think people don't get, and when and I've always been from the school of like, bro, I don't care if it's a Super Beetle or a Golf or whatever you're building, bro. Kudos to you and good job doing it.
It's
I
yours.
mean? Yeah.
Hack it, whack it, paint it, clear the rust, whatever you want to do. Call it something.
Yeah, my attitude is I may have an opinion on it, and if it's not something that's positive, I'm probably gonna, unless we're buddies, I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Right. Otherwise, you're gonna bust on me.
Right.
On me, I get busted on.
Right.
It's the way
Yeah,
it
if
goes.
it's you, I'm
Of
giving it to you both barrels, bro.
Right.
Like,
I would
I'm
like
coming at
to.
you.
I would like to say at this very moment, I can see that you sitting in your black shirt, you're finally getting some sun, and that makes me happy because now I'm not the only one sitting here cooking. Go ahead, you were saying.
Slow roast. So the funny part is, like, with busting chops on people.
Right.
I remember when Elliot, right?
Oh,
Elliot debuted his Fridlin
Right.
at the show at Garden Grove downtown.
Oh yeah.
And
The Friday
so
night show.
when Elliot, who's going to be on the podcast coming up here shortly, when Elliot Vansell debuted that, this is the kind of ball buster you are. Like, you know, when you're debuting a car, you're kind of nervous. Even if you don't care, there's some guys revving his car behind him.
Right.
It's a VW event. What do you think's going to happen, right?
Right. No, they got to clean it up.
Right. So,
So tune-up.
right. And so when Elliot debuted that car, like, I saw, and you can tell, like, the day you're debuting your car, you're nervous, you're just like, and as much as you don't care what people think, we all kind of care what people think.
Yeah, everybody really does
you want
care.
some sort of appreciation.
You want acceptance. You want uniform acceptance. You want a majority. It doesn't matter if it's
You
just
just want-
1%.
Yeah.
You want 51% of the crowd to appreciate what you've got.
And so what I did to Elliot is there was another Fridlin there that was orange and totally
Right.
like totally not Elliot style.
Oh yeah.
I took a
Was that
photograph.
thing all rusted up?
No.
Okay.
It was just orange. It was like orange and something. It was super funky.
Okay.
Completely different than Elliot's. And so I took some pictures of that and I texted to him. I said, "Bro, I love what you did with the Frid."
Oh, you're a terrible individual.
Well, you know what I mean? It was like he never responded to that, and I was hoping I didn't hurt his feelings because sometimes people don't get how we bust chops.
Yeah, no, Elliot's a good dude. He probably appreciated it and just was, you know, he's a busy individual selling internet to the United Arab Emirates.
So
He was busy counting his cheese.
So exactly right. So with doing your own style,
Right.
you build the crew cab. You don't get the, I don't want to say you don't get, because we're not looking for it, but it's almost like there's this thing in the VW scene where, like, these stalker guys have, like, this, they don't like it being mild custom, but if it's really rare, they'll give it some kudos.
Right.
But then if it's like, hey, I could care less what you think custom, people won't even give you the credibility of appreciating the work and effort and ideas that went into
And
it.
I'll be honest with you, I thought I was bombing that weekend at the Classic.
Right.
And I have to say, this is no lie, it was because of you.
Yeah.
You gave, somebody my phone number and somebody else my phone number and somebody, my phone was on the charger and I get back to my phone in the afternoon, it's like late, it's overcast and this and that. And then all of a sudden, like, I get my voicemail and all these photographers got my number from Bill T.
Yeah.
And they want to, shoot my car and this and that. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. The world is ended. You know? So I called a couple of them back and, one of them says, is it clear there or is it cloudy? Did it sock in? Nope, it's perfectly clear. It's totally overcast.
Right. You're like, get over here.
I don't care.
You're praying for the sky to clear up.
And it's funny because I don't know, new build stuff, new build problems, it wouldn't start. So me and the guys, we cleaned it. I mean, we polished on that sucker for an hour and a half. And then when he called and he said, all right, I'm here, meet me. I mean, we push started that and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
He wanted to stop and talk about it. And I was like, let's just go.
Yeah, he's like, well, this guy's
right.
Like,
Yeah. No, let's
move
just
this
go.
along.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get it, So it worked out good. But it was, honestly, I really, it was, wow. I mean,
But it's one of those things where I think, and this is something I've noticed in business too. Okay, you've been to Harvard and Yale, and you're top of your class and all these things like myself. Like you're from the streets. You're digging ditches, and now today, like me.
Actually, I think it's Yarvard.
Yarvard, yeah,
Right.
Yeah, Yardford.
Yard work.
But you kind of created your own company, did your own concrete, and you established a niche for yourself.
Correct.
And I've always noticed that anybody that has created whatever they've created, and no matter what level of success they're at, if you reach out to them and ask them, like, yeah, I got a couple ideas about this. If someone says, hey, Jarrett, how would you do X, Y, and Z? some of you're like, oh, you want my opinion? I'll tell you do this, 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 and this.
Right.
And your intention is to see them be successful.
Correct.
And I think it's the same way. It's been the same way always with me with features. Like once I got featured, and then I knew the photographers and stuff.
Right.
I was like, hey man, call so and so, and Kiki would come to town, and I'd be like, hey
Right.
Kiki. He'd be like, hey, is there any cool cars to shoot? I'd call all my buddies like, hey, who wants to get their car shot?
That was who asked me if it was overcast. It was Kiki Du Bois.
Yeah, but it's like you do all this stuff and try to help out your buddies, because it's like, I think you want to see you and all your buddies get the success.
You want everybody around you to have success at whatever level success means to somebody. You want the success for everybody, and you want everybody to do well.
Yeah, and so you get the car. So it's like the cherry on top. No matter what anybody says, you get it featured in the magazine because of our generation. Like that was the credibility.
Right.
Now you felt good getting that car.
Yeah, you felt like you've succeeded in your efforts, and it's like, it took an absolute lot to take a perfectly good bench seat. But I mean,
Right.
It wasn't dented up, it wasn't smashed, it hadn't been in a wreck, there was no rust to fix anyway. It was a perfectly good, double cab, and we decided, wouldn't this be cool as a walkthrough? Okay, well, let's call Jan Blair at Blair and Son Auto and see if I'll sell you this for $150. We went down there, we pointed out the one we wanted. His guy cut it out with the Sawzall. We loaded it up. Wouldn't it be cool if we mounted the spare tire? Because
I like the spare tire trick.
We can't go behind the seat because there's a walkthrough there now.
Right.
So what are you going to do with the spare? Oh, well, wouldn't it be cool if we set it in the bed like a deluxe bus? Oh, that's a great idea. So boom. He had one cut out.
That was cool.
Another $25,
That's one of my
and you could have it
That's
too.
one of my favorite things about that bus, just because it's something that's cool, that's factory VW, that's kind of like if you were in charge of design and stuff at the time.
Right.
And that's one of the first buses. It may be the first bus that was featured that had a walkthrough section in a crew cab.
I don't know. I don't have the knowledge on that.
Maybe the first one featured, but we'll see. I'm sure
We'll have to get with Dean Kirsten, and he'll tell us the actual, the date, the time it was photographed, who did it, what the aperture, speed was,
And the other thing that I think is interesting is, much like we're brothers from another mother, it's like once it's done with you, and then you drive the living crap out of it.
Oh yeah.
Like you're not easy.
Oh, you want to break the tranny? Let's go. I mean, we're
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no. You and I are very close to the same in that category. Anybody who helps us initially knows that they could dang near give us the first engine for free because we're gonna be back.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's no qualms about that. We're definitely not scared to blow it up or hurt it.
But I think that the true part is like, because it's not enjoyable to drive around in a car that's just like something you got to be super careful walking around. And maybe one of the reasons why I ended up selling the Gia, because it was such a nice piece of art that I would hate for something to happen to it. And I really love beating on stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to use it.
Yeah.
You got $30,000 in a paint job now because you had the first deal, and then it went to the next place to get nice, and then you're worried about it. You got your kids were skating. They're skating in and around the garage. There's skateboards on their sides next to the thing. When I went there, I was like, at your house, and I'm like, oh my God, Bill, you got, and he's like, what are you going to do? We live here. This is our home. And like, and I'm just like, well, maybe we could lift it to the ceiling. I don't know. What do you do? And I was the same way with the Notchback. Oh, here, honey, let me put you in the car. Please don't move your feet when you're inside. Like,
right. Don't slide your feet across because it has the asphalt dust on it. It's going to get in the carpet.
Yes, thank you. Or maybe we could just take your shoes off and put on these blue socky things. I don't know. I'm the same way. I want to use it. I want to drive it. I want to see how good it'll go. I want to see if it'll do a wheelie. I want to see if the brakes are really going to work when I come flying up on something that I can't afford to pay for. I really want to use it. And that's the thing. And with the Notchback.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Notchback. I want to talk about the story of the genesis of the Notchback. So you finish this bus, and it always takes a couple years for things to shrink back in place. Then we can get
right.
Building a car is like one of those things. Like when it's finally done, you're like, thank God it's done, and then you're like, I'll never do that again. And then a couple years later, you end up building another one.
So with the double cab, okay, it's not for sale. It'll never be for sale. It's one of those things I got. The Volkswagen gods spoke. It's done. It's conquered, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, then I'm like, okay, well, it is a bus. They're not the most comfortable.
And you did most of the work on the double cab.
Yeah, me and Alan did most of the work.
And then now enter, you decide to get the notch.
So I got the Notchback, and I don't know if it's some subliminal need to move on onto something else, or if I just had so much energy that I wanted to do something great again, whatever. I don't really know why, except I remember selling myself and my wife, you know, it's important to sell her too, on a Volkswagen that's big enough for me. I'm 6'3", and, you know, a couple hundred pounds. And
yeah, like 160.
yeah, something like that. So, you know, it was big enough. I wanted the nicest riding Volkswagens, which I think we can all agree is Type 3s. Baby. And so I was like, oh, but I don't want a wagon. I don't want a station wagon. I don't want a fastback. Well, that means Notchback. I found a Notchback, $2,500.
Can't beat it.
The parts that I got with the Notchback, I sold for $3,000. Can't beat it.
Yeah, it's like they paid you $500 for the car.
So I call my friend, Buddy Hale, Type 1 Restorations. Hey, buddy,
because
what
now
do you
you're
think?
making money buying
Oh yeah,
cars.
no, you're good, right?
You just
Absolutely,
made
yeah. You know,
$500.
yeah, I'm an investor. You know,
It should work out good.
right. So, hey, what do you think? You know, if I get this thing ready, you think you could squirt it? His answer, you've heard this before. I'll help you with it as long as we do it my way.
Right.
Ching ching, baby. And you know, like you know, on Buddy's behalf, I don't really think he made a dime. I think that he just did it for me. It was an arm and a leg and a kneecap.
Yeah.
And it had, you know, and he didn't make a dime on it. Like
sure.
True friends, longtime friends, high school friends. Like, he didn't charge me. I just paid for everything. Want to know how much it was? $30,000.
Yeah.
$30,000 body and paint. And we did a lot of the body stuff. We did a lot of the body mods, but it is what it is, you know. We spent a ton of money.
If you to buy like glass or paint, stuff like that nowadays, I think you're $2,500 just in paint supplies.
Yeah, and you know, $2,500 is only a fourth of the way there as far as materials.
Yeah.
You know.
Chris is talking to you guys. Somebody won. One of you guys won.
So somebody won at the podcast. We won.
We won. Both of us won.
As I said, we're both winners.
Yeah, Bill, congratulations.
Jared, I want to congratulate you.
You know what? You have a super nice double cab, and you know, I think my double cab is okay.
I think we're gonna give it second.
Yeah, whatever. You know, we need to ask whose name he called first.
The second number of scratches. The second number of scratches on your.
Well,
I think one more than mine.
I think I win in the scratch
But my front bumper is dented.
Well, mine's just scratched. It's
Yeah,
a trailer thing.
Mine's dented from hitting the
That
trailer.
right there is why you don't trailer your vehicles. It's much safer to drive them.
Right. So you get the notch. You decide to start doing the work. You want, now that you built your car, like just like anybody that builds their own car, you can see all the flaws in your car that you built.
Right.
The next car you build, you're like, I want to build.
Oh, I want it to be
car.
flawless. I want it to be
car.
one of a kind. We bought 27 hides of suede, which I think 26 and a half of them ended up in the trash can. It was super unfortunate, but whatever. We wanted to do something different. I was contemplating what engines to put in it, what kind of power plant. I really had no plan. And I'll tell you, that Notchback, which came out absolutely top of the line, had no plan, no formal plan, no notes written down, no, this is what I think I want, this is what I want it to be, where I want it to go.
Right.
I just let it take me there. And it was an awesome journey. I bought that 3.2 liter Porsche 911 engine and
the tranny.
5-speed tranny with starter, with engine wiring harness, complete, $820.
I was say $800 because I remember you told me, and I was mad. I was like, how much?
Yeah.
Because I had an 86 and 11, and those motors, for the reputation for the Porsche motors, those are the most bulletproof Porsche
That
motors.
is incredible.
And they're,
And you know,
they're
the downfall on those engines.
190 horsepower, I think they are, but they're like.
We
They're
figured
super
mine to be
reliable.
at 230 horsepower with the things that we had done to it. Nothing fantastic, nothing out of the world. So it was a pretty incredible deal, and it fit in.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it. Everybody saw it. The thing just absolutely fit in like it was born there, like it was supposed to be. So it turned out to be an amazing fitment. And it was like a bone stock Porsche.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the pimple on the back. Like, where did that, when you looked at it and you thought about, like, man, what can I do? Because you could have spent $5,000 and did a flat fan setup on it.
Right. So, yeah, if you
now
could
the
find
project,
one.
now the project is spinning out of control. Because obviously, with any of these builds, you just get to the point where you start getting close to the end. It's like when people build a house; they get to the end of the house and they're just like exhausted.
Yeah, you have no ceiling fans or lights, but the house is done. You know, it's like you just need another $20,000 to finish it up. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. You know?
Yeah.
So I will have to give 100% of that credit to Buddy Hill. So I had 2 hurdles to jump. One, I needed to get all of that air to that Porsche fan shroud. So 2, the car had air conditioning. So where the spare tire was air conditioning condenser. So Buddy said, let's do the same thing under there that we did on the deck build. So we did them both with chrome rings and that kind of deal there. So that was 100% Buddy's deal. And it was his idea, his inception. You know, I've talked to some people recently that said that they really didn't like that part of it. And I just said, you know, this is what it is.
Yeah, you can't. Unfortunately, you can't make everybody happy. You know what I mean?
No, they love the car. They just didn't like that particular. I'm like, hey, whatever.
What can you do?
Yeah, I didn't like the way the thing ran in 4th gear either. But what are you gonna do? You know.
Right. So how was it to drive that thing?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Like the most reliable, smooth, linear car you ever drove in a Volkswagen.
Absolutely.
And
it ran closed loop, so it was self-adjusting. Everything was what I wanted it to be. I wanted a touring car. I wanted a car that I could just drive the wheels off of.
And what's the furthest you drove that car?
Not far enough.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere with it. You know, the paint job, it
you're a
stops
wreck.
it down.
You're a wreck.
Yeah,
you're a wreck driving.
I'm driving 45 miles an hour on a freeway that has a speed limit of 65 at 4:30 in the morning, actually coming to Volkstock, and people are flying by me throwing asphalt at me, and I'm freaking out. Yeah, absolutely. You know how it goes. You know, it's like you can't drive it. I mean,
and I think that's why we appreciate some of these cars that we drive that we make kind of nice, but we just drive the crap and like, oh well.
Right.
I mean, we did an Instagram live coming back from, not Instagram, Facebook live. We were doing a Facebook live coming back from the Octo bus show.
Right.
And my brother and I were kind of racing. We got up to the top of Cajon Pass and we're like racing.
Yeah, you're dicing back and forth, having a good time.
My brother drives right over a piece of tire tread and it slaps the front of my
rotator. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh well, it's a dent. Like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? You drive it. You drive it.
It's just one of those road scars. You know what I mean? That happens. So
yeah, absolutely.
So what's the? Because you still have the double cab, but you don't have the notch anymore.
Well, I had an accident. I'm gonna say 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I had an accident. Me and a ladder, we didn't get along. I hit the ground. I broke 5 ribs 8 times. Punctured a lung. Blah blah blah. I broke L1, L2 in my back. I had emergency surgery. I was in intensive care for 2 weeks, and I didn't work for 6 months. So, what are you gonna do? You know, all that money I had in the bank didn't take me but about a week or 2.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I try to tell my kids, bro, look, in life, I show them the house. I tell them, look around, look at all the stuff. You're going to rotate this? Just grab that corner, rotate it. What I always tell my kids, I'm like, listen, living in this house and living like we live, there ain't no coasting in this bike.
Right.
It's pedal, pedal, pedal all the time.
Absolutely.
Let's pause 2 seconds and rotate this. Just pause 2 seconds. Let's just rotate this so we're in some shade. So let's just pivot this whole thing.
Well, the
way.
shade's over there if we just bring it out.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna be like, why is that in the middle of nowhere? We'll edit this out.
How was lunch, D-boy?
Looking good, but I'm full of shit.
Right on.
All right, now I'm in the sun. That's all right.
Oh, look at you.
Hey, Drew, you got to help me out here. You got to do the one-man shuffle, bro. Hey, lift it from the middle.
Dallas will help you.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
I think that. There you go, right there. You're good.
Right
You're
there.
good. You're good.
Hey,
Perfect.
this is the same pop-up I got, Jay.
That
Yeah.
is nice. I like
The
that.
wind can't bring it down if you properly tie it.
Yeah.
perfect.
Hey, Drew, just hang those from the top. Hook
And
those in the
there's no
top.
wind out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be all right, but either way. Lift the other side up a little bit, I think. No, just go up. Because I think it's tilted.
Yeah, I dropped it down for shade. It's okay.
Oh,
It's that. Yeah, that's okay.
that's all right. So, back to what we were talking about with it. So you had an accident. You kind of laid up for a little bit.
Right.
And
Actually, you know, I had a Class 10 desert car, off-road car. I ended up selling them both.
well, that what happens when you make too much money, you get an off-road racing.
Yeah. No, that's a true statement.
That's
right
the
there.
sign of true success. Like,
And then when you come back
I
down
have
to
money
earth,
to burn.
right? When you come back down to earth, you help other people that do off-road racing.
Yeah, it's like the ex-boat owner. Like you don't want to buy another boat, but you miss the lake, so you're
Right.
trying to find the guy with the boat so you can maybe
Yeah, we call Scott and see if we can meet.
go on the lake. Right,
Right.
exactly right. So let
Exactly.
him pay for the boat and all that fun stuff, and
Right.
you just kind of ride along. So
You throw a 50 spot down, he's appreciative because he's going anyway.
well, I made the mistake one time with Scott and I. We went to California for the Southern California Offshore Performance Boat Enthusiast Run to Catalina.
Never.
And I was like, and it was an offshore boat. We had a 36-foot bow,
Right.
which is a big deal when you're from the desert and you're in the lake.
Yeah, you're in the ocean
Right?
or the lake.
You
whatever.
show up at this, dude. Guys are driving. His thing's like $250,000, and then, we show up over there, and his car might as well.
Who's these lazy ass bus guys, man? I got somebody with a bullhorn over here.
We're still hammering out.
We're
still,
working,
We're talking about his
Chris.
history, bro. Talking about his.
I got yelled at by some guys at a bullhorn. Says there's no buses out here, man. We're pissed.
What?
I said
We're
the bus
right
guys
here.
are fucking lazy in the back that won something.
Yeah.
Did we win
Right
something?
on.
Yeah.
I like
Oh
it.
my
Calling you
gosh.
out over there.
I like it.
I have these things on. I can't hear him.
You can't hear with them off.
We're deep in the story, bro. Deep. Like we get off.
I don't know. Did
Hold
they
that
tell-
up and take a
Did
picture.
they tell you anything?
You want to take a picture of him shaking my hand?
Hell no.
You're like, no. Diana! I'm telling on
And
you.
then which was the other one? Did they talk to you? They did?
Yeah.
You didn't come up?
We were busy.
Take that shirt off, dude.
Are you kidding me?
Take that shirt off right now.
This is my
I know
Notchback
it's your
shirt.
titties.
That's right. That is the Notchback shirt.
Better get off of me.
Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
I can. I'm being choked out.
That's right.
Sweet. Thanks.
I didn't pick you, man. I wouldn't have.
Whatever. Hater.
Love you guys, man.
So,
Thanks.
so you end up selling the Notchback,
Right.
and then it's like me when I sold the Gia. I didn't have to sell the Gia, so it was a little different because sometimes situations happen, and if you go to, that's why I tell my wife all the time, like, you can't sell that old lipstick and nail polish.
Right.
But when I sold the Gia, I put it up for sale, and I thought, you know what, if it sells, I'll sell it, because if I find a buyer at the price that I can get some good money out of it, I'll sell it even though I don't want to sell it. And then when I sold it, it was kind of like a burden of like, man, I don't got to sweat about this car anymore, because it was like every time when you get like 2 or 3 cars and one sits for a while, then it's like, I got to mess with this. The fuel went bad, the this, the that. So it's a little bit of a burden off your shoulders.
Well, I was just, for me, it was kind of like, it was enough of a relief. I was thankful that I had it to be able to pedal it. I'm thankful that it was a sought-after vehicle that I could pedal it for some actual cheese,
Right.
And I didn't lose the house on the thing, so to speak. But I was also relieved, that I was relieved that it wasn't in my garage. I didn't let anybody in my garage. I didn't let anybody do this.
Yeah, you become kind of a maniac.
Yeah, you're gonna set your purse on the thing, and I'm gonna go to prison. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things.
Right.
So, yeah, it was bittersweet for sure. And even still, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had that thing.
And so now, you got rid of the Notch a little bit ago. What are you doing? You got anything else in the works coming up? I know there's some kind of yip yapping about the crew cab getting some big power in it. But what's
Oh yeah,
What?
I thought I was telling you that on the personal video.
oh, I don't want to bring it up, bro. You did mention it earlier.
I did mention
that
it.
You want to talk about the motor, the
Yeah,
big, the
well,
big power.
I didn't know if I wanted to talk to everybody.
You don't
about
have to.
it.
You can
No.
keep it completely.
You know what?
low-key.
You're right. I let it out. Probably talk about it. You know how it goes. I hate you.
So you're doing a big motor for the crew cab.
Right. So here's the backstory on that, just real quick. I had a turbo that was lower than the engine. I spent a whole bunch of money on scavenging pumps. Nothing lasts forever with those, especially. I
Right.
was over it. I thought, I don't want a turbo motor anymore, blah, blah, blah. Took the turbo motor out, put a little 2110 in there with dual carbs. I hate it. Doesn't have any power, doesn't get any fuel economy, blah, blah, blah. So, here comes 2020, and I decide I'm going to build a big motor. Always wanted a 4-inch bore.
Yeah.
Always wanted a 4-inch bore. So I friend this guy on Facebook. He's kind of known, actually.
Yeah.
His deal is called Big Power, Sean Moore. So Sean Moore and I start talking a little bit. He's going to help me out. I buy a Todd Francis case. I buy a DPR crank, little crank, 90 millimeters. I buy some, 4-inch bore pistons and cylinders from Sean. I buy some Autocraft 910 heads from Sean, and next thing you know, I'm 90% done with a 2919 for the thing. So that's a big motor. That's a
motor.
big power plant, and we're going to go back turbo. We're going to go fuel injected with it, alcohol injection. We're going to do the whole deal. So.
Well, and it's funny because with the technology of the computer-controlled alcohol injection, if you can get that computer-controlled, where it squirts it right, it's set to the boost time, and it'll inject it, inject it a certain level of boost. It's really allows you to run a lot more boost on the street,
Right.
on a regular basis. So,
And it can control it. It's a closed loop system. These new systems, there's multiple systems. There are closed loop systems. They actually will adjust. Number 3 gets hot. Guess what? It will back the timing off in cylinder number 3.
no,
And,
the technology they have nowadays, it's funny because you look at when the Cyclone and Typhoon were out, right?
Right.
On those cars, maximum payload is 500 pounds. It had a thing on the Cyclone that said, do not haul more than 500 pounds with this.
Me and you couldn't ride together.
Well, yeah, exactly. One of us is walking.
Right.
And now you look at the new EcoBoost Ford F-150, and they're like, best towing capacity of blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
5,500 pounds tug weight.
And a
or
lot of
something.
that, the change has been like direct injection, and then also timing control and all that. So
Right.
as that technology continues to go, and we're able to bridge that technology over into Volkswagens, and the biggest hurdle I think is the affordability aspect. Of
Right.
it. But getting that stuff into these VWs just make them that much more reliable, because that's the crazy thing. On one of the podcasts I was talking about earlier, your most reliable car usually is a bone stock, and like you just get in it, whether there's oil or not, it
Right.
runs like it's just a champ. And then as soon as you start tweaking stuff, chasing that big power, it seems to be like you never get the reliability of it to the point where you're happy with it. But what I did was when that's why I did the Type 4s, the big blocks that just run good, low end grunt, you feel it in the seat of your pants, and it's just
Nothing beats a cubic dollar, man.
Yeah,
That
that's it.
cubic power.
no
Nothing beats it.
replacement for displacement.
That's right.
You know.
So we're going big.